Silence, darkness, alone, nuclear war, natural disasters, aliens? Was it Jesus? Was he ready?
What do you like most about it? Why do you think it's a huge success?
Well, I love action adventure, and I love thinking about the end of times. And I think what fascinates me most, as well as other people, is what would I do in that situation? Would I be ready?
Are there plans for a sequel?
Absolutely.
Oh no.
Whew, we ate everything. 10 out of 10?
Oh, sorry I ordered so much.
Don't be, that was delicious.
I didn't get a chance to eat it the last time, so...
Of course not.
How was everything?
Oh, so good, we're stuffed. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
I know you.
Hi. Hey.
You again.
Yeah.
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 I
Thank
see you like a little bit of everything off the menu, don't you?
Oh, yeah, it was all so good. I couldn't pick just one.
I wasn't talking about the food. Yeah.
What, you mean? Oh, no. We're just friends.
Oh, just friends, really?
Yeah.
You have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Lady friends.
We're, okay, listen, I can explain.
Yeah, try.
This was
I'd like to see you
it,
try
it was a
to
mix-up.
Explain.
I would like to actually see you try explain that again, too.
Yeah.
It was a cellular issue that I had.
No.
Okay.
Run away, dear. Away. He's not ready. Third time's the charm? Yeah? Okay.
I really enjoyed that. Would you like a fortune cookie? Maybe you'll have better luck.
At a Thai restaurant?
Yeah, it seems a little weird.
Kelly, I was wondering
Yeah.
if, I'd like to ask you, if you, like,
Everything's
yeah,
so good,
here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, this is what yours says.
What?
You are a lover of words and someday should write a book.
Wow.
No, I'm serious. Look,
What does yours say?
mine is, I think I'm actually just gonna hang on to this. Hang on to that one.
Okay. Yeah. So I was wondering, can I ask you something?
No?
I was wondering if you. Hi.
Hi.
Huh.
Wow.
That was interesting.
Another interesting.
It was interesting. Can we get ice cream?
We sure can get ice cream, but that was a 9 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's like 2 or 3.
I know. I kind of thought Julia Roberts' performance was a little one-dimensional.
You know, that is Julia Roberts. You shut your mouth, you blasphemer.
You're a little slow tonight,
What?
messy face. What's going on?
What did you want to ask me at dinner tonight?
I You know, I think I should just stay single.
Oh, well, I think that's poppycock.
Poppycock.
Yeah, Julia Roberts used it in the movie, so I thought I'd try it out. I think it's poppycock.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well, you know what I think doesn't work? You being single. I'm sorry, but your last date, oh wait, no, dates. Yeah. You know, there are so many people out there. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll work out.
Oh. I guess we should
How
go.
long have we been in here? You said that you were going to give up on dating. Were you being serious?
Yeah.
Because I just think that's a little silly.
I
don't think you should give up just because you're scared.
I never said I was scared.
But you are. It's the same with your book.
What?
You are. You're scared, aren't you?
I am not scared.
You're afraid of the success of your first book. I would be scared.
I was talking about being single.
Yeah, and I was too. And I'm just saying, don't make some crazy, irrational decision because you're feeling lonely. Like, think it through. Weigh your options.
I have been very rational, and I actually have been weighing my options.
Oh, really?
I can show you.
Great.
I
would love to see that.
Yeah, I can. It's right back in my house. It's a
Perfect.
physical representation of it.
That sounds strange, but I would like to see it. So right off the bat, I'm very impressed with the presentation of these dual poster boards. There's a lot up here,
Yep.
and there's only two things down here.
It's
Kissing
what came in organically.
and matching outfits. This is not a thing. Now you have one thing, because I'm taking this with me. And I'm also going to take football. Plenty of girls like football, so these are gone, okay? But this is why you're having a hard time writing your book. Because you're committed to writing this stuff. You're committed to being stuck in being single.
Wait. Okay, so writing is different. Okay, writing is...
How? How is it different?
Writing takes time. I ran out of time. That's why Denise dropped me from my contract.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. What difference does it make? I don't know how many plants I've killed up to this point, but it's probably a lot. But I also know that one day I'll figure it out and I'll keep one alive. You'll get another shot.
Right. So, are you talking about your fear of commitment or the plants?
Okay, we're not doing that right now. We're not.
It's the same thing.
Okay, all right. You know what? Fine. This is good.
Where did you get this?
Don't waste your talent. There's good stuff in there.
This is my personal work journal.
I know that, and I've read it, and it's really, really good. And I'm saying, if you were so scared to take risks and commit, then what's the point?
What? Okay, I'm afraid. I admit it. I'm scared. Aren't you scared? Aren't you afraid of commitment? Can you just leave? What?
There, okay, there's your commitment.
Kelly.
Sometimes what you seek is right in front of you. And sometimes it's your fear that keeps you from grasping it. I begin today with 3 convictions. Conviction number 1, Jesus will return. It is the blessed hope of the Christian story. It is the end toward which our lives, the life of our planet, is heading. It is the central cornerstone reality of our faith. Jesus will return. The second conviction: Jesus wants to meet you in peace. A very important conviction. I would go so far as to say Jesus wants to meet you in peace even more than you want to meet him in peace. He created you for fellowship with himself. His deepest yearning is a forever friendship with you. He wants to meet you in peace. That's an important conviction, because if we accept that conviction, then what it means is that what we study here in Matthew 24 and 25, or even if we were to turn to Daniel in the Old Testament or Revelation in the New, none of that is written to confuse us. It is not written to trick us. It's not written to trip us up. It's written to help us know how to live ever-ready lives for his coming. Why? Because he wants to meet you in peace. Those are the first two convictions. Jesus will return. Jesus passionately wants to meet you in peace. And the third conviction. The third conviction is this: sometimes what you seek is right in front of you. And sometimes it's fear that keeps you from grasping it. That third conviction, in fact, is the essence of today's parable. It's right there. It's so clear. If you want to live an ever-ready life, it's this simple. But sometimes it's fear that keeps us from grasping it. So let's read the parable. It's found in Matthew chapter 25. It begins in verse 14. It's often spoken of as the parable of the talents. In the TNIV, the heading is the parable of the bags of gold. Matthew records these words of Jesus. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you're a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the banker so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. Take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For those who have will be given more, and they will have an abundance. As for those who do not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The first 2 servants are ready for the master's return. They're ready when he comes back to give an account of that which he has entrusted to their care. They come back and they say, we have invested. Here's what we've done with that which you gave us. And the master is pleased with both of them. He's not pleased because of what they have gained, because one has gained 5, the other has gained 2, and yet he gives precisely the same statement to each. He starts out with a commendation, well done, good and faithful servant. He follows it with a promotion, You have been placed in charge of a few things, but now I will place you in charge of many things. And he finishes with an invitation. So come and enjoy your master's happiness. He says the same thing to both. Well done. Music to their ears. Years ago when I was in college, a classmate of mine said her father's name was Weldon. She said, my mother calls him Weldon, my good and faithful servant. He didn't appear to find that overly humorous. But to these servants, it's music to their ears. Well done, good and faithful servant. They have understood the intent of the master. The intent of the master is to spread his wealth among his servants and then to see what use they will put to the wealth that he has given them. These first two servants immediately, the text says, went at once, immediately put it to work. They went to work using that which the master had entrusted to their care. And because they used what they had been given, they were ready for the master's return. It's really not any more complicated than that. The master has given something into your hands, placed something under your care. His question will be, what are you doing with yours? Are you using it? For the first two, the answer was yes. We have put it to use. And as we have used it, it has grown. It has increased your wealth. It has furthered your kingdom. Then comes servant number 3. Servant number 3 really carries the punch of the lesson of the parable. Servant number 3 comes in, no doubt, brimming over with emotion. And I can understand that. I can clearly understand that. I understood that when I got the envelope in the mail. Sorting through the other envelopes, this one didn't stand out all that much by its size or its difference. But it was as I looked at it and looked in the upper left-hand corner that it caught my attention and got my heart to pumping. 3 words: Internal Revenue Service. So I tore open the envelope and read the enclosed letter. Dear Mr. Roberts, one of our agents would cherish the opportunity to sit down and talk with you about what you recently sent to us. So here's the time when we can meet. Immediately, my heart was pumping, my blood was racing, and I thought, what in the world could they want with me? I had barely finished college, 1 full year of finally working. And already they wanted, did you see how much I made? How could you want to talk to me? How could that matter at any level? It scared me because those 3 words, the initials of which, IRS, are enough to strike fear to the heart of any citizen. I thought, these people will hold your firstborn ransom. And I don't even have a firstborn. It was a frightening experience. I still remember the day, downtown Fort Worth, Texas, quaking in my boots. I walked into that office and sat down with this man. He was kind, gracious. You know, they're that way before they... And so I sat down with him, and he just asked me some questions. He said, I see that you've driven a lot of miles. I said, yes, I'm a pastor. I think we can claim that. He said, yes, you're correct. You've driven a lot of miles. I said, well, see, they had some meetings down in San Antonio, and my employer said I had to go back and forth, and it was a lot of miles, and I began to explain. And he just listened, asked a few questions, did a few things on his calculator, and said, this is how much you owe us. It wasn't a great amount. It was small. That's not what I remember. What I remember of that little audit, I think is the word they use, of that audit was the fear that I felt. Just at going in and facing this arm of the U.S. government focused on me. Just that experience gives me a bit of an insight into the experience of the third servant. He comes into his audit, if you will, and he is brimming with emotion because the truth is he has done nothing. Well, you say not nothing. He apparently took what he was given, apparently raced home, went out to the backyard, dug a hole, covered it with earth, and that was the last time he saw the talent. Except for now. Dusting the dirt and the grime off of it, he brings it back to his master. Here it is. Here is yours. I was afraid. Those are the 3 words. If you want to know, why didn't you do anything? It's so clear. It's so simple. The first 2 understood it. They did it. All you had to do was put it to work. Why didn't you do so? Well, that's the reason why those 3 words in verse 25, 1 word in the Greek actually, but 3 words in the English, I was afraid. I was afraid. That I can understand. No wonder he didn't do anything if he was afraid. Those who study human emotions say we tend to respond in one of 3 ways when we feel a great deal of fear. We tend to flee, we tend to fight, or we tend to freeze. Well, this servant froze. Other than the frenzied activity of bearing the talent, he froze. He couldn't do anything with it. Frightened, fearful, cautious. I want to read to you the way that Eugene Peterson, in his paraphrase, The Message, paraphrases the verses that come right toward the end, right when the master is responding to this frightened servant. Peterson says this, the master was furious. That's a terrible way to live. It's criminal to live cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? The least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with the bankers, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. Take the 1,000 and give it to the one who risked the most. And get rid of this play it safe who won't go out on a limb. Throw him out into utter darkness. Sometimes what you seek is right in front of you. And yet fear keeps you from grasping it. It was right in front of him. This is all you have to do. Just put it to use. Fear paralyzed him. I don't know what fear has done to you. You've been given a gift, maybe a set of gifts. The expectation of the master who has gone on a long journey is for you to put those gifts to use. The question of the parable is, what are you doing with yours? It's not an idle question. It's a throbbing, pulsating question, throbbing with importance, because what it is asking is, the day will come when the final audit sits, where Jesus will ask you, what have you done with yours? And the man says, I was afraid. Now, it wasn't a generalized fear, just, I have anxiety. No, it wasn't that. If you read the parable carefully, he is afraid of the master. He says, I know you to be a hard man, harsh, exacting, reaping where you didn't sow, gathering where you didn't scatter. And that scared me because I thought, if I risk something and lose it, then I'm going to be in truly deep trouble. So his fear was of the master. Now put this parable in the context where it is located. Jesus talking about his coming, about living ever-ready lives for his coming, and you realize this man is afraid of God. The God who has given the gifts in the first place. He understands God to be harsh and exacting, a God who is fearful to deal with. And that fear of God utterly paralyzes him. You can almost hear the self-talk that's going on inside of his head as he's saying, he's coming back. He's coming back. I know he's coming back. When he comes back, oh my goodness. Scared of God. And that fear of God paralyzed him. New Testament scholar Michael Wilkins writes of that by saying, the explicit problem with the wicked servant is his attitude about his master. Faithfulness, that is, using what he has been given. Faithfulness is contingent on an accurate view of God. The parable teaches us that a truthful understanding of God will bring about the productive investment of our lives. In other words, if we understand God in a biblical, authentic way, it is an empowering reality that encourages us to go out and to act in His name. If, however, we misunderstand Him, our spiritual life is dominated by fear. Fear that freezes us. So how does that actually work? I want to circle back to something from 2 weeks ago and remind you that it is the grace of Jesus that saves us. The grace of Jesus saves us at the beginning of our walk with Him. The grace of Jesus is what will save us when we meet Him face to face. It is ever and always His grace that saves us. It is not readiness that saves us. His grace saves us. The obvious question then is, well, what about readiness? After all, here we have 2 whole chapters dedicated almost exclusively to Jesus talking to His disciples about how to be ready for the coming. So what role does that play? Well, think about it. When the grace of Jesus truly enters into our lives, when that grace gets a grip on our hearts, when that grace saves us and changes us and turns our orientation toward a good and a loving God, that grace is transformative. And then we are compelled to fulfill the directive of Jesus, which says, freely you have received, freely give. And we go to put to use that which He has placed in our lives, because true grace, when it is truly experienced, is transformative in nature. Maybe you heard Him tell the story, some of you. It's been a long time since I've heard Him tell it. In fact, I don't remember if it was an apocryphal story, one of His parables, or if it was an actual incident. It seems to me it was an actual incident. His name, Morris Venden. Some of you knew him as Maury Venden. He tells the story. Driving down the road, looking in the rearview mirror, oh, there are the lights behind him. He pulled off to the side. You know the drill. Officer comes up, license, registration, proof of insurance. He hands them out. The officer looks at them. Mr. Venden, are you in a hurry? Not particularly. Why is that? Do you know what the speed limit is here? I think it's 35. You're correct. I clocked you speeding. Really? Yes, I clocked you back there doing 38. 38? You stopped me for 38 in a 35? Breaking the law. Just a moment. Went back to his vehicle. Gone a few moments. Came back. Pad of paper. Sign right here. This will be your court appearance date. Are you serious? 38 in a 35? When the transaction was complete, said Maury, I punched it. I was angry. Punched it. Not too much, because he was still back there. So got on as quick as I could, but just under the speed limit, and kept an eye out. When he disappeared from view, then well, you can imagine. Angry. 38 and a 35. A second instance. Different place, different location, different police officer, same drill. Looked up, the lights, pulled over, officer came up, license, registration, proof of insurance, handed it out the window, looked at it. Mr. Venden, you in a hurry? Well, actually, yes, I am. I'm in kind of a hurry. You must be, because you're speeding. I clocked you back there. Do you know what the speed limit is here? I think it's 55. That is correct. I clocked you back there at 74. That's over the speed limit. Where are you going? What do you do for a living? Well, I'm a pastor. A pastor. So you're on your way to some type of pastoral emergency, I assume. Well, yes, I'm running a bit late. There are people waiting. You know, the attempts. And finally, the police officer handed the paperwork back and said, I'm going to let you go this time. Slow down. And Maury said, I eased back onto the highway, slowly speeding up, keeping it under the speed limit, even after the officer was gone, driving there within the boundaries of the law. Why did he do that? Well, I'll tell you why he did it, because I know from personal experience. He did that because of grace. Because when grace gets a hold of your life, when grace enters in and touches you and forgives you and fills you with peace and sets you right with God, it is an utterly transformative experience. You cannot walk away from that unchanged. It forces you then to say, God, look at all that you have given me. Look at what you have placed in my life. In what small way can I give back? Is there some way that I can act to increase your kingdom? That's the parable. The parable of the God who pours riches into our lives and then waits to see if we have truly received them, if we have truly understood them. And knowing that we have, when we go out and say, this is what I will do on your behalf in the world, out of sheer gratitude for what you have given me. Therefore, if your answer to the question, what are you doing with yours, is nothing, there may be a problem at a heart level with an understanding of what God has done, is doing, and will do in your life. Go back and check the grace. Because when you look at Calvary and understand what it is that he has done, it cannot help but say, then I must act. I must put to use what he's given me. The third servant, I couldn't act because I was afraid. Afraid of the master. Misunderstood God. Now we have to confess there might be a little bit of one other reality there. There might be a little bit of looking around and saying, wait a minute. You got 5, you got 2. Everybody else has so much. What do I have? Just 1. I feel embarrassed to act in the midst of such gifted people. I don't have anything to contribute, anything to give. Nobody will miss it if I just hide it. The old Scottish scholar William Barclay says this about this parable. The man with the 1 talent did not lose his talent. He simply did nothing with it. Even if he had adventured with it and lost it, it would have been better than to do nothing at all. It is always a temptation for the 1 talent person to say, I have so small a talent and I can do so little with it, it's not worthwhile to try for all the contribution I can make. The condemnation is for anyone who, having even 1 talent, will not try to use it and will not risk it for the common good. Jesus has placed something in your life. He has given you grace. He has given you gifts. And his question will one day be, how did you use yours? What did you do with it? Those who are active, who are busy, who are involved, who are engaged in using what has been given them for the upbuilding of the kingdom have no concerns about when the master will return, whether that's this afternoon or at the end of my life. It doesn't matter. I'm doing what he gave me to do with what he gave me to do it. So what are you doing with yours? Because the truth is, one day the audit will come. One day at the gates of the kingdom, Jesus will sit down with you and look into your eyes and ask you, what did you do with what I gave you? I don't know what your answer will be. I hope it won't be, though for some it will. I hope it won't be. Well, Jesus, see, it was like this. I went to Loma Linda University Church. There were a lot of people. There were a lot of gifted people. There were people up on the platform. They could do it all. I hardly had anything. It was much better for me just to stay in the background, not do anything. Did you use it at home, at the office, the gym, the neighborhood? Well, no, Jesus, I mean, I didn't have much to contribute. I hope that won't be your answer. But he will ask. For some, the answer may be something more like this. Jesus says, what did you do with that which I gave you? Well, Lord, honestly, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. It's a little bit scary to think I'm working for the King. So, just by your grace, I just started with what was right in front of me, even though that scared me. I just started doing something. And Jesus says, I know you did. You do? Yes, he says, see that gentleman over there? The one? Yes, that one. Do you recognize him? I don't think so. Not sure that I've ever seen him before. Well, says Jesus, you may be interested to know. I just had a conversation with him. He knows you. You may not remember him, but he says that many times he ate home-cooked meals at your table. And that it was in the free-flowing discussion of those gathered there that he first came to know me. You see that young lady over there? You recognize her? I don't think so, Jesus. Well, she has grown some. I just had a conversation with her. Do you know what she told me? What's that? She said that she first got to know me in school. A school that she could not afford to attend, but a school which she was able to attend because you paid her bill. See that woman over there? You recognize her? Jesus, I'm sorry, I don't recognize her. Well, I just had a conversation with her. She was one of your patients. Said one day she came into your office just consumed by fear. The diagnosis, the future, what would happen. She told me that in that office you took her hand and you prayed with her. You asked me to be with her. She still didn't know what would happen, but she said she left that office with such a sense of peace that she said to herself, I have to get to know that God. And then Jesus looks at you and says, you know what? These people, all these people, they are your audit. They are. So it's my great privilege to say to you, welcome home, child. Welcome home.